But
Oh, great.
here you go. I still can't quite believe what just happened.
I know. I inquired with the bailiff after the court session was adjourned. And it seems Mr. Vigil was taken to hospital to...
Right. 10 years ago now. Mr. Vigil attempted to commit suicide by jumping out the window of the prison governor's office. Also, hi, welcome Keyblade, too. I forgot to welcome you. Drags a Luigi with the armchair, that would be like him. But ever since then, he's completely blocked the memory of those events from his mind. Nobody knew his secret, not his family, not even the man himself. But I forced it out into the open. Was it wrong of me to do that? Did I overstep the mark, I wonder? Is it wrong to open up people's intense trauma in a public setting when I am not a trained therapist? This is you. Oh, we can't hear you, Inheritance. It's just a moment. Food for thought, Dragon. Still can't hear you. Make sure it's not my end. It shouldn't be on my end. Let's see. Sorry, everyone. Get this sorted out really quickly. I don't know why suddenly audio disappeared. Nope. You're still muted, Inheritance. But I could see you green on Discord, so it identifies you're talking.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Yeah, boy. So, as we know, I'm not 100% sure who this character is, so I'm just going to go with my best guess.
You don't know who it is. Who else uses this nickname?
Nope, it's too late. I don't know who it is. Oh, sorry. Fredo!
Oh, Iris.
You are miles away. Anyway, I brought a fresh pot of soothing tea for you.
Oh, thank you.
You and Susie have had an exhausting day so far, haven't you? Oh. Thank you, Iris. How thoughtful of you.
Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is? When we came out of the courtroom back into the defendant's antechamber, he disappeared.
Oh, no. I don't know. He just suddenly sprang to his feet and left. All he said was, I must leave. I wonder if he's pursuing the mystery of Inspector Gregson's death. Well, you know what Hurley's always saying, don't you? There are mysteries in this world that should perhaps never be solved. For the construction of a solution comes only at the expense of the destruction of something else.
What does that mean?
Also, since when has he ever said that? He knows very well that when you open someone else's old wounds, you often open your own, too. But he can't just take his own advice and leave well alone. Solving mysteries is too important to him.
That's so true.
But that's what I like about Hurley, after all.
I suppose that's a lot of a great detective in some ways.
So then, let's have tea and then I'll give you a hand.
Oh, do you have time, Iris?
Yes, I finished this month's manuscript at last. With barely a day to spare before the deadline. Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. A brand new story to read in the affections of Sherlock Holmes. You know, I've always I always hide Hurley's violin in the days before I have a deadline.
You do? Poor Mr. Sholmes.
Sure, that's very wise, Iris. How sensible of you. Now then, my dear fellows, let's make a plan of action before we continue our investigation.
Okay. I don't think there's anything to examine, so unless you have a special request there, I will just...
Don't you have to check the whiteboard every case?
I feel like it's gonna be the same thing it's been for like 3 cases.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to check, or...?
Yeah, we can check it.
No, it has a check mark.
Yeah.
It was definitely
Yeah.
not.
Then let's go.
So, how did it go in court this morning?
Well, we still don't know the truth about what really happened, but one thing's increasingly clear. Lord Van Zeeks definitely didn't do it.
Oh, goody! Yes, that's right. We managed to uncover several new facts as well. Oh, really?
And there was another development too. Kazuma.
Yes, it's quite clear now. The Kazuma-sama is not himself. The way he's acting, it's almost as if he's possessed.
I know. I mean, at the end of the proceedings earlier, he was like a bloodhound the way he was chasing down Mr. Vigil's forgotten past. He's not normally so mercilessly persistent.
I don't know. Not even that bad.
What's going on in his head, I wonder? I really need to sit down with Kazuma and try to understand what he's going through. If Gregson was really murdered the day before his body was discovered, then Lord Van Zeeks has to be innocent, you see.
What? The day before? Well, that should be easy enough to work out by just examining the corpse, surely. Yes, you would expect so, but curiously, no time of death was included in the autopsy report. That is curious.
There's still unanswered questions about Lord Van Zeeks, though, aren't there?
Do you mean?
I mean, what was he doing there on Fresno Street that day in the first place?
Well, according to the man's testimony, he said he was investigating Inspector Gregson, didn't he?
And it turns out that little room was actually the inspector's secret office.
Oh, that sounds like it has all the makings of a wonderfully devilish plot.
Iris, one of your friends died.
Well, she's over it now. That was
I
yesterday.
guess so. Rough. I mean, they took it as well as I did, I guess.
But then why was that notice board in there covered in all those particular papers? Papers about cases linked to the Reaper. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about all this.
Oh dear, that sounds like something horribly devilish. We must stop at looking into Inspector Gregson's movements of late.
Up. Gregson's movements. I never imagined I might have to be investigating Inspector's movements.
It's bowel movements.
No!
Well, according to the entry in his diary, he was carrying out an incognito investigation of the Red-Headed League the day before his death. Oh, you mean he was doing the same as Harley?
Well, Mr. Sholmes is trying to apply, whereas the inspector is supposed to be investigating.
I do wish it had been the other way around.
Anyway, as it turns out, the inspector who went to investigate the Red-Headed League that day wasn't actually at Gregson at all. It was Mr. Vigil, in possession of Gregson's identification.
Do you know You know what that sounds like to me? Establishing an alibi. Oh my, yes, you're absolutely right, Iris.
But why would Gregson need an alibi?
It would appear that the inspector had something to do that he wished to keep secret. I don't believe it. I always thought he was just a harmless lover of fish and chips.
But perhaps they were seasoned with something a little more potent than salt and vinegar.
Like crime.
I think
And Cthulhu.
Eldritch pepper.
I was gonna say that's my favorite classic novel, Crime and Cthulhu.
Crime and Cthulhu.
I think perhaps we should try to move away from food analogies. Perhaps.
Well, anyway, if Lord Van Zeeks felt the need to investigate Gregson,
Yes, I agree. We must try to find out what he knows.
Mr. Vigil's condition.
Vigil, you say? Isn't that the name of the lady who came to visit Hurley yesterday? That's right, to ask Mr. Sholmes if he would help her to find her missing husband.
Only Mr. Sholmes completely passed the buck to us. Actually, didn't you say that Mr. Vigil had been taken to hospital? Do you know which one?
Ah, it's St. Sinners.
Starting to wonder if all the other hospitals in London have closed down.
But that's amazing, Runo. You found the lady's husband already.
Well, I suppose I have, by accident.
And 10 years ago, while Mr. Vigil was the chief warder at the prison, he was responsible for overseeing the professor's incarceration. No!
So when the convict escaped, he was held responsible and immediately dismissed.
Sometimes I really don't want to grow up.
There's more. For 10 years after that, while he was ostensibly working as a peddler, he also had another secret job. He was paid by Gregson to be his stand-in, to impersonate the inspector.
To impersonate Gregsy? But why?
I have absolutely no idea.
Ginny was right. I'm starting to think all adults are up to no good. Including you, Runo.
I haven't paid anyone to impersonate me.
I made one of those little, like, figure out who you're gonna marry things.
Origami crane.
I was gonna make a crane, and I forgot how to make them. It was just I was put on the spot, and I choked. But the options are red, white, of Blue Corp. So which one do you want?
What? How are... That's one option.
No, one option's red, the other's white, the other's of, and then Blue Corp is the last one.
If we must do this now...
Yeah. Of. 1, 2, 7, or 5?
1.
4, 8, 6, or 3?
3.
You're going to marry Takatsuchi. Ouchie. Ew.
Is that what you put on every one of them?
No, I put mostly good people. It's just I put Giselle, Brett, and Ouchie as like the two binaries that you don't want to get of the other genders.
Who says that you don't want to get Ouchie? I mean, cool name. Likes Ouchie.
I mean, I'm just saying those are my oddball choices. The others are Gina, Suzato, Ryunosuke, Van Zeeks, and Herlock.
Gina's a minor.
Of age, Gina.
And Suzato is too.
So is Ryunosuke.
No, Ryunosuke's 24.
Oh my gosh, that makes it even all the worse.
We've already discussed this. Susato, you have a line.
That means he has ties to the professor and to Inspector Gregson, too. So, do I think we ought to pay a visit to Mr. Vigil, don't you?
Back to St. Senna's, then. I don't think that's true, Shady. I think that Cool Name has said at least one character they doesn't like, but also welcome.
I think it's clear what we need to do, isn't it? Let us investigate, my dear fellows. Oh, Iris, you're even more enthusiastic than usual today. If anyone has anything to hide, my special Wilson shooting iron will soon set them straight.
That water pistol?
It's stuffed full of a piping hot extra special blend of mine that I'm quite sure will be very effective.
You can't just shoot scalding tea at people.
I think she just pours it into a little cup and then she has them drink it. It's like, yo, you're stressed out. Have some tea.
I'd better be careful not to hide anything. Well, it feels a little strange that Mr. Sholmes is nowhere to be seen, but still. Let's go and see what we can find out.
I can't
say the
Gregorian throat thing. I can't.
You have to.
Yes!
Man, I can't hit two notes at the same time. That's a commitment.
Listen, that's the expectations we have of you.
High
Okay,
expectations.
where are we going?
Bum, 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 bum. Our only option is the first three, or is everything else grayed out?
No, there's 6 options.
Oh, then
Just have 2 grayed out.
go. Let's go there.
Where?
There. Mr. Vigil's hospital bed. We all just teleport, like, directly on top of the bed.
Directly on top of Mr. Vigil.
Directly inside of Mr. Vigil, like chest bursters would come out.
TMI.
Oh, don't start.
I guess we're exploring the room.
I guess so.
This notice caught my eye before, actually.
I suppose it's some sort of slogan for the ward? A cheerful welcome message, perhaps?
Let's see. Pay with good cheer, leave with good cheer. Look at that, you were spot on, Mrs. Adder. It is full of cheer.
I wonder how many discharged patients pay their medical bills with good cheer, though.
Once I had a very painful injection when I fell ill with a cold.
Oh my gosh, this again.
If it's the same one?
Yeah, this is the one story he has
I
about
felt
hating
awful
the
already.
doctors.
So I did have to suffer the sting of the injection as well as the bill. I yelled at the doctor.
Oh dear, what a terrible treatment.
These must be the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Tendency to jump from windows. Remember to place cushion at base of wall outside.
Wow, that's insensitive.
Aren't we a story up from the ground here?
Oh dear, poor Mr. Vigil.
I can't help feeling that there's a better solution to the problem than a cushion, though.
Yeah.
Finding something you'd lost isn't always a happy experience, it turns out. Pursuing the truth can be a very dark business sometimes, can't it?
Yes, I'm afraid it can.
Okay, well, that's awkward. I feel like the medicine things are just gonna say the same thing they said before.
Probably.
Oh, look, a pair of crutches. Before we came to Britain, I hadn't realized they were used here as well. What?
I imagine they were imported into Japan from Great Britain in the first place.
Oh, so no one in all of Japan broke a leg before their arrival? Anyway, the sight of these things doesn't bring back good memories for me.
Oh dear, did you injure yourself once and need to use some?
When I was little, I thought they looked fun, so I borrowed a pair to play with. But then I slipped and sprained my ankle.
I see.
They contain powerful magic, those wooden staves. The power to heal and the power to harm.
I think a certain cheeky little boy managed to cause the harm all by himself.
This is probably different. Patient treatment notes. What do these say, I wonder? Endlessly obliging. Suppose that's referring to the patient in this bed.
I would think so, and until Mr. Vigil's a little more stable, it's probably just as well that he has a kindly person in the neighboring bed.
The endlessly part is a little worrying, though, isn't it? I mean, what if Mr. Vigil suddenly declared that he'd like to take a trip out of the window?
Insensitive.
Would this endlessly obliging patient simply open it for him and say, "Be my guest"?
Put my service to the test. Let's check with the doctor later.
Okay, well, I think that's... I really think these are being the same thing for the medicine cabinets.
Let's get out.
And we'll just have to hear about him eating and drinking everything. So. Oops. Where are we going?
Go down. Go up. No, go to the different rooms so I can see what Susanna has to say about it. Okay, going. Let's go there. We haven't visited in some time.
Okay, local prison.
Oh, she's wearing her dumb hat again. Lord Von Zeeks is reading. Look.
It's November. It's cold out.
Yeah, let's cover just the hair. Like her ears aren't covered.
Her hair gets cold.
Her face is covered.
Listen, don't judge. She has a PhD. At 10.
Somebody with hair. I don't know if hair itself feels the cold. I think the area that the hair's connected.
Yeah, but did you have a PhD when you were 10?
Fair enough. It's a sore subject. Why would you bring that up? I only had a master's degree.
Well, somebody should have tried harder.
He doesn't seem like he wants visitors, does he?
But he must have noticed we're here, surely.
What do you Nipponese want?
That's no way to greet the lawyer who's trying his hardest to prove your innocence, is it?
Screw you. He spits on your face. Perhaps not.
Hmm?
I apologize. So, what can I do for you, Mr. Naruto?
Lord Von Zeeks, speaking earnestly. Oh, the fog will lift over London for the first time in months tomorrow.
All right in front of him. This is why he talks like that to you guys. This does feel very, very strange.
I must say I was impressed.
Oh, well, thank you.
Not by you, by your fellow Nipponese, your prosecutor friend.
Oh, I see, yes.
It's sardonic, don't you think? For a man such as me, so loathing Nipponese, to be entirely at the mercy of the two of you. I suppose it's retribution for having played the part of the Reaper all these years.
Played the part? Reaper's identity. You once told me that you gladly allowed people to believe you're the Reaper, because it helped reduce the amount of serious crime that took place in London.
If keeping quiet and playing the part benefit the cause, a cause I myself am committed to pursuing, then why would I choose to say anything?
But the henchman of a criminal killed by the Reaper attacked you only the other day. That was just the most recent of many attempts in your life, wasn't it? Someone is clearly profiting from your silence about all this. Someone is using you.
Believe me, ever since the Reaper first appeared, I've been doing my utmost to expose him, or rather, expose the organization.
Ah, it's a whole organization.
Yes, 13 of them.
It's inconceivable that those accidents were orchestrated by one man. Though the Reaper always appears to have been very accurate, always appears to have very accurate information about the accused in each case. Which can only mean, look, I made an origami bunny. That somebody
Nice.
at Scotland Yard is involved.
It just took you a hair.
It
Someone at you can't mean.
It's taken me many years, but I finally identified the central figure in this Reaper organization. Tobias Gregson.
No. No.
Gregson, the Reaper.
It's his Faustian bargain with the Eldritch Horror.
So the reason you were investigating Inspector Gregson is because you intended to expose him as the Reaper.
As I said, the Reaper of the Bailey is no single person. It's a highly secret organization with close ties to Scotland Yard. There's no doubt that Gregson was a key member of that organization.
I don't believe it. Are you saying that Grexy, that he was behind all those awful criminals meeting there?
Gregson didn't do the dirty work himself.
Oh,
He was a tactician.
reach for my hand.
His job was to covertly investigate the marks and plot their assassination. In order to do that without arousing suspicion, he regularly needed a firm alibi.
Which is where Mr. Vigil came in, posing as the inspector.
Vigil knows nothing of the Reaper. But the room he rents on Fresno Street was almost certainly the headquarters of the operation. Gregson would have met the assassin there for briefings.
So you don't actually know who carried out the killings then?
Actually, I do have a name.
You... what?
Well, if you can name the man, you have the true identity of the Reaper already then.
Or, if I can name the woman.
Oh. Sorry, I didn't, I should have not been so sexist and assumed that only a man could have been the Reaper.
She's a young woman by the name of Asa Shine.
Are you saying it that way on purpose?
I'm saying it that way on purpose, yeah. I refuse. Do you want me to say it the way that it's obviously supposed to be pronounced? Because that's a dumb name.
Yes.
She's a young woman by the name of Asa Shin.
I don't... Dude, should we go over with the name?
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want... That's so dumb. That's like calling her, like, Day Killer.
Wait, what? Shin?
Shin?
Megami?
Heard of that name? Tensei?
5? Miss Asa Shin, the true name of a terrifying killer I know only too well. She came to Japan posing as a visiting student and murdered Dr. John H. Wilson.
I forgot all about Giselle Brad's real name.
Then just when it seemed that diplomatic protection would help her escape Japan and conviction. The mysterious woman was herself murdered in a small summer beach hut. And that woman was actually the Reaper of the Bailey?
Mr. Naruto, this perhaps isn't the place to discuss.
No, of course not. We can't mention it here. The fact that she killed Dr. John H. Wilson. Because Iris doesn't know it, and it's very likely that the man was her father. She's just smiling.
Huh?
The only one here smiling. She's like, oh, I can tell you're thinking about me, Ryunosuke.
I hope you're not saying anything that's problematic and controversial and would make me really upset as a person that you've been withholding for all this time.
For 10 months.
Specifically. Shin. I should let father know at once.
Yes, I agree.
Like, that's really rude that they haven't told her. It's like,
They're waiting for the right time.
they're waiting for the right time to be rude. Like, they should just be like, hey, Iris, real bummer, I know, but I think your dad was hot murdered in Japan.
Hot murdered.
He was hot murdered. I'm sorry, but then at least you don't like betray her trust by like leaving her for over a year and not telling her. Like, that's rude.
Kazuma, is it? Isn't it? Kazuma Sogi. You say he's a friend of yours.
My best friend.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't. I should have apologized for just assuming that you two could be best friends.
He's the whole reason I got to come to Britain. It was all on his merits.
This is the woke episode.
I have nothing but respect for him.
Them, you don't know their identity. I may be a racist, but everybody deserves respect. Yes, I understand that only the very best students are selected for such opportunities. And I had a fine demonstration of how sharp he is in proceedings earlier today. He missed nothing. In fact, his flawless performance very much reminded me of his father.
Gen Shinosugi, the professor.
It's true that the aristocracy at the time was at the root of numerous grave societal problems. The abusing their power, playing with the common man as pawns in politics, in economics, in war. In many ways, Asuki was carving out a kink of society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves.
I see.
That's precisely why it makes no sense. Clint Van Zieks was a noble and upstanding man. He wasn't corrupt. Why did that damn Nipponese have to go and take my brother's life?
Oh gee, that chills.
I should do a shittier line reading. I apologize.
In spite of having once saved mine.
He saved your life. How did that happen?
I was gonna order a taco, and it had peppers, and I'm deathly allergic, so he reminded me.
Can you be allergic to peppers?
Yeah, why couldn't he? We could be allergic to pretty much anything.
Anything?
I
Oxygen?
think so. Well, in the seminal film, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh yes, the most academic of sources.
Yeah, there's a character who is deathly allergic to pepper, and has a reaction to table pepper, which is very interesting. But
It was 10 years ago on a foggy night. What was to be the professor's final strike had sent a wave of panic throughout the capital.
So Clint Van Zieks had already been killed at this point, then.
Denshin and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. Of course, at that point, I had no idea of the true nature of the man at my side. All of a sudden,
Don't
Okay,
make a
I'll
peep.
I'll
You're
do it.
coming.
I'll do that.
Don't make a peep. You're coming with us.
I'll do this one because I think you're gonna be doing other voices here. Don't make a peep. You're coming with us.
Oh. Does he also have a Hachimaki headband? No, he has like his hair tied by it. He has like a ponytail.
He's a ponyta.
We were surrounded. All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Clint was not only from noble heritage, he was a brilliant prosecutor as well. The scum in London hated the sight of him, and they had no sympathy for his younger brother either. I've been targeted several times before already.
Yeah, it's Benedict's alright. We got him.
I could hear them murmuring amongst themselves. I knew they were after me. But just when I thought my time had come,
If I let them kill you, Clint would never forgive me.
it was Azogi's voice, just a whisper in my ear. After that, I don't remember exactly what happened. The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He'd shielded me. Two days later, they arrested him. On suspicion of being London's most notorious mass murderer ever. The Professor.
How awful for you.
All at once, I lost the brother I revered, and the foreign friend I held in such high regard.
I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zieks.
That's the end of my miserable tale. I never thought I'd recount it to anyone.
Well, thank you for confiding in me.
The Professor, the Reaper, Inspector Gregson. I wonder just how intimately related they all are.
Still can't quite believe that Gregson was essentially the Reaper, giving assassination orders to Giselle Brett.
Commissioner Hurdo, let's go inform my father. I'm sure our government will want to hear about this new information. Oh!
Oh, this is like a weird like mood shift.
Oh! That means I get to meet your daddy, Susie! Hooray!
Yes, alright. Let's head back to the Great Waterloo Hotel then. Bye, Van Zieks. Thanks for casually sharing your intense trauma and us leaving immediately after.
Yeah, as we've already established, when somebody wants to share trauma, we don't engage. Oh, we gotta go to the hotel, right?
You're gonna go to the hotel right now?
That's where her dad is, right?
Apparently.
If I remember correctly.
Get it? Apparently? Because he's a parent.
Parent. Well. That's a funny.
I thought it yesterday, and I think it again. This place is so princely.
It's a wild guess, but I have a feeling you'll think the same thing tomorrow, too.
My tea has a finer fragrance than whatever they're serving in the tea room here, though, wouldn't you say?
Oh, look at me up here. This is an unexpected pleasure.
Ah, Father! Oh, is this your daddy, Susie? How lovely!
We're charming young lady. And you are? Oh, really? So you're the author of the Enlisted Herlock songs, are you?
That's me, Iris Wilson, at your service, sir. She's been such a wonderful friend to me over the last year, you know.
Well, Miss Wilson, I read your work regularly and with much interest.
I must read our shirt.
Iris actually lives with Mr. Sholmes, you know, Father.
Is that so? Well, perhaps that goes some way to explaining the bright look in your eyes.
You wouldn't be smiling so airily if you knew just how bright she is, believe me.
What does that mean?
Young Narhoro, it was a pleasure seeing you in action earlier. As an invitee of the symposium, I was allowed to observe from the gallery after I twisted some arms.
What?
I just gotta make sure I'm reading while you're doing his lines, because, like...
And I must say, it was a truly exemplary performance.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Although I'm fairly sure you omitted by Kazuma in the end there.
No, please don't misunderstand. It was you who impressed me.
Really?
You didn't miss a step against Asogi, and we all know how capable he is. Really, to have matured in such a fine defense lawyer in less than a year is quite extraordinary.
Are we gonna acknowledge the fact that he read Ryunosuke's mind?
Everybody can, sometimes, when it suits them.
Yeah, he has a very readable face.
It's very kind of you to say so. Really nice to hear.
Based on court today, confirm what I've been hoping for. The favor I mentioned yesterday, Naruto. I trust you haven't forgotten.
Oh, no, you did mention something, didn't you?
I mean, if he actually mentioned it, I'd definitely forgotten.
I mean, it's only been like 3 weeks.
But first, we have something to report, Father.
Of course. So you take tea while we discuss matters further.
The favor got interrupted. We don't know what it is anyways. It got interrupted before we could...
Oh, okay.
I wonder where Judge Jigoku has got to. About the Reaper.
Father, do you know about the so-called Reaper of the Bailey?
Heard rumors. Some members of the judiciary explained it all to me yesterday. Of course, when I was a visiting student here in London, the Reaper was yet to emerge.
Wait, it didn't appear till after the case when the visiting students had already returned home.
Lord Von Deeks, who was in the dock today. That was Barak, a young brother of Clint Von Deeks, I believe.
That's right, and he was known throughout London as the Reaper, as you've heard, but the truth is, it wasn't him behind all those mysterious deaths, it was someone else.
I see. So what you're saying is there's been a professional killer at work here.
Exactly. Someone by the name of Asashin, in fact.
I beg your pardon. Did you say Assassin? That Giselle Brett woman who's responsible for killing my great friend.
Next thing on the... no.
Oh no! A friend of yours was killed! I'm so happy it wasn't my father, John H. Wilson, working at the same university that you work at, right?
She doesn't know where her father went.
I'm just saying, it'd be a really interesting coincidence if you were friends with my father, John H. Wilson, who happens to have worked at the same university that you work at. But, who was his friend that got murdered?
Professor Mikotoba, I think perhaps we shouldn't discuss this right now. Because the friend the professor's talking about is Dr. John H. Wilson. And that's not something we want Iris to find out about. Not like this
Iris
anyway.
already knows. Iris already knows. Like every time that they bring it up, everybody's like, no, let's not talk about it right now.
Why would you think she's that smart? Just because she has a PhD?
Just because she has a PhD
It's
at
a
10?
it's a PhD in medicine, not in reading the room.
Yeah, but she's also have been proven to know very expertly how to read the room. That was literally her introduction to us. Was her reading the room very well.
Yeah, well, it's your line.
I've just remembered something. Yeah, biscuits. This hotel has the most delicious looking biscuits.
But was rather out of blue.
Dad, shut up.
She's doing this deliberately.
I think I'll go and see if I can purchase some. I wonder, would you like to come too, Iris? Oh yes. You just tried to leave me behind.
So that young girl is called Iris Wilson, is she?
Yes, that's right.
And she's the author of all these adventure stories telling the great detective stories. But the name of the credited author isn't Iris, is it? It's Dr. John H. Wilson.
Yes, I know. That's the name of her father, you see.
Her father? Dr. John H. Wilson. I was deeply indebted to the man for all the kindness he showed me during my time in London. That's why I was keen to reciprocate and invite him to Imperial UMA University 4 years ago.
But he was murdered last year by Giselle Brett. Why? Why would the hand of the Reaper stretch all the way to Japan? Iris knows nothing about that case, but it seems very likely that the victim, Dr. Wilson, was her father.
Well, I can't say that we ever spoke about his family, so I don't know if he had a daughter or not.
Also, why don't they just speak in Japanese? That's so weird.
I think she can speak Japanese. Yeah, she translated Japanese Braille, didn't she? Not Braille, Norse code.
I don't remember. I think she memorized the code. I think she couldn't translate.
Maybe.
But I think I can say with some certainty that he was never the great detective's partner.
So it could have been another Dr. Wilson, you think?
Well, John and Wilson are both common names after all. Still, it's probably best not to mention this to the young lady until you can be sure.
That's what we thought, yes.
We're back with cinnamon biscuit.
Ooh, they smell delicious, Iris.
Oh, I should make some cinnamon bits.
I think cinnamon will go very well with the tea they serve here, don't you, Susie? Yes, I'm sure you're right, Iris.
Okay. I haven't seen Judge Shigoku for a while, have you? Guilty! Ha 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 ha! But that guilty is still ringing in my ears.
Well, now that you mention it, I haven't seen him since this morning either. I suppose since the symposium's opening was postponed, we'll have to go to explore the great exhibition.
That reminds me of something you mentioned yesterday. About Judge Jigoku having once been in the dock himself.
Oh yes, it was all tied up with our cursed trial.
The closed trial of Kazuma's father.
Cicero was trying to mitigate Johnson's guilt, so he took a stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and, actually managed to break the witness stand.
Oh my.
He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged.
Oh dear. Though it's worryingly easy to imagine him doing that.
Well, it was all alright in the end. He was acquitted and we returned home to Japan together.
He was acquitted from saying words against Like I don't understand. Like clearly he was guilty. Everybody saw him and heard him say the things he said. How were you acquitted of that?
Because they decided it wasn't worth pursuing with a foreign visitor.
I guess so, but like,
Thank goodness.
Oh yes, talking of Cicero. I have a copy of this photograph we all took together here yesterday. Please.
What a lovely picture.
Certainly seems to shout we've arrived in Britain.
that's not gonna come in handy in this case at all, I'm sure.
None of us had any idea what was coming when we took that, did we?
No. No, that's so true.
The favor. So, you mentioned a favor that you'd like to ask me.
Well, this fateful trial that you're fighting. One way or another, it will all be over before long. And when it is, I'd like you to accompany me back to Japan.
You want me to do?
What? Father, what's the meaning of this?
Now, Sudato, you should understand. You've seen how our courts work firsthand. Japan's judicial system is in its infancy, especially when it comes to defense.
Oh, you mean...
The Supreme Court of Judicature is in desperate need of a good defense lawyer. As soon as possible. Really quite urgently, in fact.
But I've not even been in London a year yet.
I've read all of Sudato's reports and well aware of your extraordinary talents. Having seen you in action my own eyes earlier today, there's no question. You, Alfredo, are precisely the man our country needs.
So, you'd be leaving then, Bruno?
He's done. How many cases has he done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cases? This is his sixth
Listen.
case?
He should lead the defense of all of Japan. He is the only defense lawyer in Japan, and he's going to teach every other person. And that's why Japanifornia's court system is the way it is, because they had Ryunosuke set it up from the inception.
But then,
I guess.
what am I supposed to do, Father?
I don't know.
I'm here to serve the Soviet judicial system.
Oh yes, she's supposed to be Kazuma's assistant.
Our government is still in the process of deciding how best to deal with this situation, though. You've always chosen your own path, Sudato, and I trust your judgment in this matter also.
Father!
Please, the pair of you don't look so downcast. Merely a suggestion, you understand. I hope, if I'm honest, but I won't force you. All I ask is that you consider it and come to a decision by the time this trial concludes.
You weren't gonna be in England forever.
Yes, alright.
So why is it such a big deal?
You won't leave, will you, Bruno?
Yeah, I don't think he expected to be there not even a year, though.
I mean, I guess, but you can always go back.
Thought hadn't even crossed my mind.
Like, Susanoo left, and they weren't nearly as sad as they are.
I don't know, they seem pretty disappointed about it. Up until now, I've just been trying to do what I believe to be Kazuma's will. But it turns out that he's still alive, so... where does that leave me?
Can you follow the last will and testament of a person who still hasn't technically died?
Well, excuse me now. I need to telegram government ministers and Japanese police with information about Alpha Sin.
Of course, Father, thank you.
Do you know you can still send a telegram these days? It costs like $25.
It's a lot of money.
It is.
It's much cheaper to just call somebody, probably even internationally.
Yeah, it is.
Look forward to next month's installment, Miss Wilson.
Oh, good. And please do come to Baker Street sometime, won't you? We'd love to entertain you.
I would be delighted. The best of luck for tomorrow, Naruto. And give my suggestion full consideration, won't you?
Yes, I will. Going back home.
You know, Kazuma-sama has always meant a great deal to my father. I'm sure he'd love the chance to meet with him and talk to him about all this.
Yes, no doubt. Oh, this is you.
Shin! Of course, it's so obvious.
How could I have neglected to consider the possibility before now?
Ugh, Mr. Sholmes.
Really, where have you been?
Why, I joined you off for tea, of course. And what an extraordinary question.
I didn't notice you at all.
No matter, no matter. Anyway, to be more pressing concerns, Mr. Naruto.
Oh, yes?
I must dispatch a telegram to your country at once. It's a matter of most urgency.
To the country?
Dear Japan, how are you? Are you doing okay? I miss you a lot. I hope the crumpets I sent you arrived well. How are the kids?
The kids of Japan, all of them. To Japan, you mean?
Tell me, who can I entrust the task? Quickly now, who?
Ah, well... To my father just now left to send a telegram to the Imperial Bureau of Japan himself.
I see. Well, he looked reliable enough for a bearded fellow.
I don't think my father's sports could be considered a beard, Mr. Sholmes.
Yeah, look at that beard. Look at that magnificent beard.
Do you wanna? Do you wanna know something that's gonna make this joke not land?
What?
It's really unfortunate. The Japanese word for facial hair is used for beards and mustaches indiscriminately. So this is probably not the joke that was in the Japanese version.
Yes, but they're speaking English.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. In Japanese, that's why there's a character in One Piece whose name is Blackbeard, but he only has a mustache. But that's supposed to be Blackbeard because it's the same word.
I don't know. I think that makes the joke kind of funnier because it's like ironic. Like it's the English person who's mislabeling it and calling it a
I
beard.
guess so, yeah.
There's not a moment to lose. Kindly ask your trusty unshaven father to see the set.
I will, but what is this?
No questions at the time, if you please, Mrs. Otto. All we can do is pray. That for once, my deduction is awry.
Doesn't that imply that your deductions are normally correct, Mr. Sholmes? Which isn't exactly...
Now then, you may be surprised to learn that I am a very busy man. I certainly have no time to hide behind seats and eavesdrop on people's conversations.
So that's what joining us for tea meant.
I leave the sending of this in your hands then, my dear fellows.
Ah, wait a minute. Mr. Sholmes.
Just Nightcrawler poofs out of there.
He just sort of ran off, didn't he? At quite a pace.
And left the unpaid bill for his tea behind, too.
I must catch up with father at the telegram office at once. And I'll run and call us a cab straight away.
And there was me thinking everyone would be clamoring to pay Mr. Sholmes' bill. Okay, now where are we going?
1.
What?
Move down 1. Keep going. Keep going.
Wait, what is this?
Oh wait, go back to prison.
Oh.
In some ways, this. Go back to
In some ways, this place seems to rather suit Lord Vance. Oh, oh dear, forget I said that out loud. Did I say that out loud?
That's why I double taked, because I was like, wait, what is
Rude.
it?
Okay, keep going. Okay, keep going. Go.